Hello again, guys, and welcome back to the House of Devlin. I'm Big Al Devlin, and this is a continuation of our Nordic mythology series and belief system series. Now, this particular video is not going to be expanding necessarily upon any of the videos that I've made before in the past, and it's not going to have any new real content, i.e. new stories or new myths or any discussion of anything really new. But it's going to be giving you something that I learned most recently, that I feel so much more connected to one of the particular gods within the pantheon from something that I learned very recently. I mean, you know what lawyers are like. I mean, 2 years ago I was in a car crash, and all of a sudden, now it's getting towards the end of the claim and all the rest of it. All of a sudden they're testing me for this, testing me for that, because they want to see how much damage has been done so they can make more money, and I suppose secondary to that, I can make more money, but they're looking after themselves. Let's be frank about it. That's what lawyers are like, right? So I'm being tested this way, that way, and everywhere. I don't know what way I'm going. But I did speak to a neuropsychiatrist actually recently, because I did take a big blow to the back of the head during the crash. So obviously they're investigating those side of things. And one of the things that he made a point of, when I spoke to him for 2.5 hours, we discussed and talked all about my past life, current life, everything. And I don't want to get into the details of it because one, it'd be very boring, and two, it's obviously a bit personal and all the rest of it. But ultimately, he suggested that it's not a diagnosis, but he suggested, and it made sense to me very much at the time, at least anyway, that I have what's called an anarchistic personality, and which can become a personality disorder under certain circumstances, such as when you lack confidence or when things are going really, really wrong in your life. But when I had that and we went through it, he didn't just tell me the name straight away. He says, well, how are you like this? And how are you with this? And how do you think in these situations? And I give him the answer, And then all of a sudden he opened this book and he goes, look, boom, boom, boom. And there's like, to every personality trait, there's like probably 30 traits. You are capable of this. You do these and this under certain circumstances, so on and so forth. And I think out of the personality trait that I was potentially diagnosed with, this anarchistic personality, I think there were roughly 30 traits. And I had 29 out of the 30 traits. I was only lacking one. And that one that I was lacking was like a kind of potential jumpiness, where you can not scare easily, but you kind of like, if a sudden noise, you're like, whoa, what's that? What's that kind of thing? If things that are unexpected affect you more than other people. Well, I don't have that. I mean, he tried to scare me in the room, and I didn't even move. I was like, you what? But of course, I've been trained not to have that my entire life. I've done ring fighting, boxing, rugby, physical sports where, I don't really scare easy as a result. I've learned to remain calm under even the scariest of situations, and partly that's why I'm still alive today, because I kept calm under a life-threatening situation, managed to get partly out of the way of a truck that hit us, me and my girlfriend. Now, obviously, when he's going through all this, and he said I've got an anarchistic personality, and then he explained what it means, what it does, and my answers, and all the rest of it. Obviously, my mind had opened up a little bit, and I realised a few days later, when I was reading a bit about Odin, I realised why I've always been obsessed with a particular part of Odin. Now, Odin is a very interesting god. He has probably the most dual personality you could ever imagine within a god. He is noble at one minute, he's the noble, righteous ruler of Asgard and of all the gods within the Aesir-Vanir alliance. But at the same time, he can just literally fuck off from time to time down to Midgard and live with the vagabonds, live with the homeless, and just, commit, crimes and just do what he wants, basically. He can be a real contrast of characters at times. But the bits that I mean, you know, and if you look in the cosmology stories, which I've already filmed, so go watch them. You'll hear Odin mentioned a lot. I mean, he created Midgard, which is Earth, where we are now. He created Earth from the body of a giant that he killed along with his brothers. And he also created man and woman. He carved us from trees and gave us life. These are all very interesting stories, and there's a whole lot of other interesting stories behind Odin. But the ones that always fascinated me are the ones that I've not actually talked about yet too much here on House of Devlin, but I will very much so when I come up to them, trying to do them chronologically. And that is the stories where Odin pursues knowledge and wisdom. Odin is obsessed, absolutely 100% obsessed with knowledge of his own fate, and gaining wisdom and gaining the ability to change and alter fate to whatever he wants, to his own desires. Basically, he learns through, I believe he learns of Fenrir and the fact that Fenrir kills him when he tears out his right eye. And when he tears out his right eye, he's allowed to drink from the waters of Yggdrasil at the roots. And when he does so, he gains foresight. He gains the ability to see the future. When he hung himself, he gained rune sight. He gained the ability to see runes and cast shamanistic magics. And he also practiced cedar as well, which comes at, I think, a later date after he learns about his fate. He goes out and learns cedar magic, which is a magic designed to try and alter and change your fate. But it's when he sacrifices his right eye, at that point he learns his fate, where he's about to die. And that he's not about to die, but eventually he will die to the fangs of Fenrir. And it's at that point that he becomes obsessed, completely obsessed with changing fate. No matter what the cost, no matter what the sacrifice that he has to make, he will make it. And he becomes this obsessed man, obsessed individual, regards increasing his knowledge base, increasing his wisdom. And this is nothing bad or anything. One should always try to pursue a development of their own wisdom, that is, the understanding of the world around them and the wisdom of themselves as well, knowledge of themselves. And everyone should pursue knowledge, because without knowledge you can't understand the things that are going around you and thus cannot gain wisdom. These are good things to go for, but he went to the extreme, to the absolute extreme, and these are the stories that I always found most interesting. And obviously it's quite, for me, doubly interesting that I've always been obsessed with these stories. I've always loved these particular stories because, of course, when I was told I got anarchistic personality, I myself am obsessive and compulsive and obsessed with certain things, such as controlling fate and all the rest of it, which is, a quality of the personality. It makes sense why I felt a connection to those stories, because it's a reflection of myself. Those stories reflect an aspect of my personality, only an aspect. People are very complicated beings. We have many different facets to us, but if this is a major part of obviously the way I look at the world, those stories represent how I would act and how I would be if I was in Odin's shoes. And so I felt a super strong connection with Odin immediately after being told that. And that is why I love the ancient paganistic belief system and why I love being part of it, because because the gods aren't supreme beings, they're not perfect beings, they're not flawless beings. They, as I say, as I've always said, are a reflection of you. And you can see from this story here, I'm a reflection of him almost. I have the same qualities of those aspects of him. I have the same qualities as Odin in that sense, and that's why I have such a strong connection. That's why you can connect to the ancient gods, I feel, far more easily than you can the sort of newer gods that exist within the mainstream religions of today. And that's what I believe ancient paganism really offers you. It offers you true connection to your belief system. And the other thing is for me, religion, it has to be very personal. Belief has to be very personal. You should never be told, this is what you think, this is what you know, this is what you believe in, and this is how you worship. You say this prayer with these words in this order, you do this ritual, so on and so forth. And, you know, I feel that you're becoming a robot or a parrot at that sense. You're just repeating the stuff and it doesn't have personal meaning to you. You know, the one thing about being a pagan is that most people in this world will not have been born a pagan. They may come from pagan stock like myself, and we are just reaffirming that our religion of our forefathers. I've decided that, you know what, I want to go back to believing what my father's father once believed, or whatever, you know what I mean. And some of you may not have a heritage within paganism, but you're still welcome. If you think the paganistic religious system that I myself believe in and others who watch these videos believe in has some kind of direct meaning to yourself, then you're welcome aboard. It's not a religion that is racist in any way whatsoever, or isolationist in any way whatsoever. Anyone can believe in our gods, because our gods represent everyone. You know, they really are, as I say, individuals in their own right. And I believe that what I've just showed you there, that connection that I made with Odin, and the realization of why I felt so connected to Odin was because, well, I've got a lot of the personality traits, the flaws that Odin had. I also share those flaws, and they do say, of course, that people love you for what's wrong with you. They love you for your flaws, not for your good points. And perhaps that's why I love Odin so much, because he shares the same flaws as myself. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I know it's a bit of a different style video for this. If you didn't like it because it's not going really too much about the development of the paganistic system, I do apologise, but it's just something I wanted to put in there to show you how the impact that a belief system such as this can have on someone, and the connection that you can actually make with the gods. It's a very interesting thing. You can make such a strong connection with your gods that you follow, and that's a beautiful thing in my opinion, because you feel just that little bit less lonely in many respects, and it allows you to understand yourself and other people also around you. Okay, thank you, bye bye.